like, even though obviously Echo is favored as like the best team definitively in this group, you're gonna need to kind of reveal what some of the plans are, right?
Yeah, and of course, as you go further into the bracket, you're not really going to be able to hide strategies so much because the quality of the team will get better and better. In addition to the Streets and Gambit, however, we're also starting to see Court of Stars enter the pool of dungeons for almost all of our matches today. And it could just kind of be a dark horse pick for some of these teams. Could be a dungeon that maybe they've practiced and don't want to get banned. So I'm actually interested to see whether or not teams will actually focus their bans on Court of Stars, or if they'll leave it open and kind of just roll the dice. Important to mention, Court of Stars does have a different affix than everything else. Doesn't have that encrypted affix. We're using Infernal, which is slightly different. Essentially gives you a little bit of a buff going into every single boss.
Yeah, and so the question is, like, it's not that difficult of a affix to deal with, as far as like you know you don't need to like learn a huge new skill. Then again, like, it's not something that you've been able to practice on live for a little while. Like, is just banning Court of Stars the way to go? Like, or do we run into situations where both teams think they banned it because it's blind bans, and then they end up playing it anyway? Like, do you think what's the likelihood that we're actually going to see it today?
I think that if there was a team that's going to play it, it would probably be Echo. So like I would have a high expectation that they have put a decent amount of practice time into it. For one, they did TGP. The squad did. Most of them did the TGP together. There was a little bit of difference, but at the same time, they have a long history of playing in the MDI, and so Court of Stars is a dungeon that they've played a lot. On the other side, Yeppers, it just kind of comes down, at least in this series, to how much they've practiced it. I could see Court of Stars going through from this section, though, as like a missed ban. For some of the other matches, it just really kind of depends on their experience with the dungeon, how often they've played it, how much they've practiced it. I do think that overall, though, the Legion dungeons are probably going to be some of the most commonly seen bans because teams just have less experience on them because they haven't practiced them in multiple years, basically.
True enough. Well, here's our bracket for today. Of course, first we're going to see Echo versus Yeppers, which you mentioned already. Then it's going to be Baldy taking on Evolved. Then down in the lower bracket, we've got Apes Together Strong versus Dwarf This, Witness Cuties versus Incarnation. And then, you know, we'll see where things end up after that. It's going to be a lot of elimination.